Today, there are both commercial and environmental arguments for why Nigeria must transition from a transport system powered by diesel and petrol to an electric mass transit system. With the adverse impact of a deregulated diesel and petrol market on the cost of transportation biting so hard, Nigerians are seeking alternative solutions to mobility.
So my name is Abimbola Kenja, Managing Director of Lamata. A year ago, we signed an MOU with Oando with the mindset that we would introduce electric buses, and also they would roll out charging infrastructure for it.
You have to make sure that when we roll out fully, it's sustainable.
On Tuesday, 23rd of May 2023, Nigeria's first electric mass transit buses were launched in Lagos State as part of a 90-day proof of concept, which successfully came to an end on Monday, 9th of October 2023. The two deployed buses for the proof of concept phase have operated on such routes as Oshodi to Obalende, Oshodi to Costain, Oshodi to Abulegba, and Oshodi to Ikorodu.
What we've done here is to ensure that as we take on these new forms of transport, electric buses, we apply them to the most rigorous routes with the largest passenger mass to really test them.
With over 42,800 kilometers covered and an average drive time of 14 hours per day, carrying over 73,000 passengers in 90 days, we have prevented the use of 21,000 liters of diesel and mitigated over 57.8 tons of CO2 emissions. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of mobility is electric, and that future is here. Our goal is to support Nigeria in achieving her net zero ambition by 2060 as we roll out electric vehicles and charging infrastructure across the country, state after state. We will deploy renewable energy solutions and natural gas to power our charging stations. This is the new role we believe CNG must play in sustainable transport development, powering charging stations, not buses.
Our energy cost of operation is about 70% of our cost of operation. And with this intervention, it is expected that you can crash that cost to as low as maybe about 30%. And you can only imagine what that does in terms of the sustainability of the business model.
By 2026, we will begin the local assembly of electric vehicles in Nigeria, creating jobs and other opportunities within the sustainable transport ecosystem, an agenda fully in line with the country's energy transition plan as published by the federal government of Nigeria.
It's clear that we're ready to go, but it also points to the fact that the work is about to start.
Oando Clean Energy. Today, there are both commercial and environmental arguments for why Nigeria must transition from a transport system powered by diesel and petrol to an electric mass transit system. With the adverse impact of a deregulated diesel and petrol market on the cost of transportation biting so hard, Nigerians are seeking alternative solutions to mobility.
So my name is Abimbola Kenja, Managing Director of Lamata. A year ago, we signed an MOU with Oando with the mindset that we would introduce electric buses, and also they would roll out charging infrastructure for it.
Just to make sure that when we roll out fully, it's sustainable.
On Tuesday, 23rd of May 2023, Nigeria's first electric mass transit buses were launched in Lagos State as part of a 90-day proof of concept, which successfully came to an end on Monday, 9th of October 2023. The two deployed buses for the proof of concept phase have operated on such routes as Oshodi to Obalende, Oshodi to Costain, Oshodi to Abulegba, and Oshodi to Ikorodu.
What we've done here is to ensure that as we take on these new forms of transport, electric buses, we apply them to the most rigorous routes with the largest passenger mass to really test them.
With over 42,800 kilometers covered and an average drive time of 14 hours per day, carrying over 73,000 passengers in 90 days, we have prevented the use of 21,000 liters of diesel and mitigated over 57.8 tons of CO2 emissions. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of mobility is electric, and that future is here. Our goal is to support Nigeria in achieving her net zero ambition by 2060 as we roll out electric vehicles and charging infrastructure across the country, state after state. We will deploy renewable energy solutions and natural gas to power our charging stations. This is the new role we believe CNG must play in sustainable transport development, powering charging stations, not buses.
Our energy cost of operation is about 70% of our cost of operation. And with this intervention, it is expected that you can crash that cost to as low as maybe about 30%. And you can only imagine what that does in terms of the sustainability of the business model.
By 2026, we will begin the local assembly of electric vehicles in Nigeria, creating jobs and other opportunities within the sustainable transport ecosystem, an agenda fully in line with the country's energy transition plan as published by the federal government of Nigeria.
It's clear that we're ready to go, but it also points to the fact that the work is about to start.
Oando Clean Energy. Today, there are both commercial and environmental arguments for why Nigeria must transition from a transport system powered by diesel and petrol to an electric mass transit system. With the adverse impact of a deregulated diesel and petrol market on the cost of transportation biting so hard, Nigerians are seeking alternative solutions to mobility.
So my name is Abimbola Kianja, Managing Director of Lamata. A year ago, we signed an MOU with Oando with the mindset that we would introduce electric buses, and also they would roll out charging infrastructure for it.
Just to make sure that when we roll out fully, it's sustainable.
On Tuesday, 23rd of May 2023, Nigeria's first electric mass transit buses were launched in Lagos State as part of a 90-day proof of concept, which successfully came to an end on Monday, 9th of October 2023. The two deployed buses for the proof of concept phase have operated on such routes as Oshodi to Obalende, Oshodi to Costain, Oshodi to Abulegba, and Oshodi to Ikorodu.
What we've done here is to ensure that as we take on these new forms of transport, electric buses, we apply them to the most rigorous routes with the largest passenger mass to really test them.
With over 42,800 kilometers covered and an average drive time of 14 hours per day, carrying over 73,000 passengers in 90 days, we have prevented the use of 21,000 liters of diesel and mitigated over 57.8 tons of CO2 emissions. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of mobility is electric, and that future is here. Our goal is to support Nigeria in achieving her net zero ambition by 2060 as we roll out electric vehicles and charging infrastructure across the country, state after state. We will deploy renewable energy solutions and natural gas to power our charging stations. This is the new role we believe CNG must play in sustainable transport development, powering charging stations, not buses.
Our energy cost of operation is about 70% of our cost of operation. And with this intervention, it is expected that you can crash that cost to as low as maybe about 30%. And you can only imagine what that does in terms of the sustainability of the business model.
By 2026, we will begin the local assembly of electric vehicles in Nigeria, creating jobs and other opportunities within the sustainable transport ecosystem, an agenda fully in line with the country's energy transition plan as published by the federal government of Nigeria.
It's clear that we're ready to go, but it also points to the fact that the work is about to start.
Oando Clean Energy. Today, there are both commercial and environmental arguments for why Nigeria must transition from a transport system powered by diesel and petrol to an electric mass transit system. With the adverse impact of a deregulated diesel and petrol market on the cost of transportation biting so hard, Nigerians are seeking alternative solutions to mobility.
So my name is Abimbola Kianja, Managing Director of Lamata. A year ago, we signed an MOU with Oando with the mindset that we would introduce electric buses, and also they would roll out charging infrastructure for it.
Just to make sure that when we roll out fully, it's sustainable.
Oshodi to Costain, Oshodi to Abulegba, and Oshodi to Ikorodu.
What we've done here is to ensure that as we take on these new forms of transport, electric buses, we apply them to the most rigorous routes with the largest passenger mass to really test them.
With over 42,800 kilometers covered and an average drive time of 14 hours per day, carrying over 73,000 passengers in 90 days, we have prevented the use of 21,000 liters of diesel and mitigated over 57.8 tons of CO2 emissions. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of mobility is electric, and that future is here. Our goal is to support Nigeria in achieving her net zero ambition by 2060 as we roll out electric vehicles and charging infrastructure across the country, state after state. We will deploy renewable energy solutions and natural gas to power our charging stations. This is the new role we believe CNG must play in sustainable transport development, powering charging stations, not buses.
Our energy cost of operation is about 70% of our cost of operation. And with this intervention, it is expected that you can crash that cost to as low as maybe about 30%. And you can only imagine what that does in terms of the sustainability of the business model.
By 2026, we will begin the local assembly of electric vehicles in Nigeria, creating jobs and other opportunities within the sustainable transport ecosystem, an agenda fully in line with the country's energy transition plan as published by the federal government of Nigeria.
It's clear that we're ready to go, but it also points to the fact that the work is about to start.
Distinguished shareholders,
Oando Clean Energy.
it gives me all of you the 44th annual general meeting of your company, Oando PLC. I am extremely delighted to see our shareholders here this morning. Can we all rise now for the national anthem? Patriots. Please be seated. Once again, I am delighted to have you all here. Okay, I will. Can they remove this? Can you remove this flower because I can't see you? Aha, better. Once again, I'm happy to welcome you all to the 44th AGM of your company, Oando PLC. Please note that this meeting is being streamed live on the company's website and YouTube channel. We have to start with God. And for the opening prayer, we have our Elder Akpore. Elder Akpore, please, to lead us in the opening prayer. Thank you.
Sorry, can we stand up as we pray? Father, we thank you very much that today we are alive. Not just being alive, we are here, meeting of our company. And it's a thing of joy for people to recognize you. And so, O King of glory, because the chairman, everybody on the board, they recognize you, they want you to be in charge. And now, as your servant, I pray thee now, King of glory, be in charge of the meeting of today. Amen. Be in charge of the meeting of today. Amen. Be in charge of the meeting of today. Amen. That from the very beginning to the end of it, Lord, you will direct. That only your will be done. I pray for the directors, I pray for the shareholders. Nigeria, there should be peace. Amen. In the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. And I commit the proceedings, everything, unto your care. And I know success will be our portion today. Amen. And the meeting, as I know, will be very, very short. Amen. For in Jesus' name I have prayed. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Elder Akpore. I now call on the General Manager, Operations Integrity, Mr. Kayode Boladale, to undertake safety briefing for all of us.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to say good morning, KBSC Chairman, GCE, the GCE directors, fellow shareholders, and colleagues. Today, we are welcome to the 44th General Meeting. There are no scheduled alarm tests this morning. If you do hear an alarm, you would please make your way to the fire exit. You have one on your right, as you can see. Just go straight down and go downstairs. You can see the green sides, and then you have one on your left. Just keep on going as the exit that you came in, and just meet up at the mutual fire point outside. If you want to use the convenience, again, please make your way to the left side as the way you came in, and then you have the ladies and the men. We would like to say, I wish you a fruitful deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boladale. May I request the Company Secretary, Mr. Yotola Jagun, to confirm there is a quorum formed for this meeting.
Distinguished shareholders, members of the Board of Directors, representatives of our regulators here present, ladies and gentlemen, I warmly welcome you to the 44th AGM of Oando PLC. I hereby confirm that we have a quorum for this meeting.
Following the confirmation by the Company Secretary that this meeting is properly convened and constituted, I now declare the 44th Annual General Meeting open. In compliance with Section 301, subsection 1 and subsection 5 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, I wish to notify you that in addition to the disclosures on pages 70 and 68 of the 2020 and 2021 annual reports, respectively, the Register of Directors shareholding is available for your inspection at this meeting. Further to the disclosure on page 46 and page 42 of the 2020 and 2021 annual reports, respectively, the records of directors' attendance at board meetings held during the financial year 2020 and the financial year 2021 are also available for inspection at this meeting. This is in compliance with Section 284, subsection 2 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. I will now introduce the directors present at this meeting. To my extreme left is Mr. Tanimu Yakubu, non-executive director. Next to Mr. Tanimu Yakubu is Mrs. Ronke Shokefun, independent non-executive director. Next to Mrs. Ronke Shokefun is Dr. Ainoje Alex Irune, executive director and chief operating officer of Oando Energy Resources. Sitting next to Dr. Ainoje Alex Irune is Mr. Adeola Ogunshemi, executive director and group financial officer. At the extreme right is Mr. Ike Osakwe, independent non-executive director and chairman, Statutory Audit Committee. Sitting next to Mr. Osakwe is Mrs. Fatima Nana Mede, OON, an independent non-executive director. Sitting next to Mrs. Mede is Mr. Omamofe Boyo, Deputy Chief Executive Officer. On my immediate left is Mr. Jubril Adewale Tinubu, CON, the Group Chief Executive. To my immediate right is Mrs. Ayotola Jagun, Chief Compliance Officer and Company Secretary. We also have Mr. Demola Akerele, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Non-Executive Director, who is attending this meeting virtually. I am Oba Michael Oando Mbadiwe, the Alato of Obama. I now call on the Company Secretary, Ms. Ayotola Jagun, to introduce other stakeholders present at this meeting. She will thereafter read the minutes, the notice convening this meeting.
Thank you, Kabiyesi. Once again, good morning, distinguished shareholders. I will start by introducing the registrars present, and I will call on them to give the report of the attendance and the proxies received for the AGM before I introduce the rest of the regulators. First, registrars.
Thank you very much, the Company Secretary. Good morning, the Board of Directors, the esteemed shareholders, ladies and gentlemen. We received a valid proxies of 535, with the total shareholdings of 9,253,400,000 443,037 units. This represents 74.44% of the paid-up capital of Oando PLC. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawal. We have the shareholder members of the Statutory Audit Committee seated on the table to my left. They are Mr. David Oluwasegun Oguntoye, Dr. Joseph Ashaolu, and Dr. Anthony Omojola. We have Mr. Henry Omodigbo, Audit Engagement Partner, representing our external auditors, BDO Professional Services. You have just heard from Mr. Lawal, the representative of First Registrars and Investor Services Limited, our registrars. And we have the representatives of the following regulators. We have Mr. Odusonya Taiwo of the Securities and Exchange Commission. We have Mr. Bonaventure Onwuji of NGX Regulation Limited. We are yet to receive the representative of the Corporate Affairs Commission, but we also have in attendance Mrs. Hilda Nko of Convention on Business Integrity, who will be reading out our report of our board evaluation and corporate governance review. I will now read the notice of the meeting. Notice is hereby given that the 44th Annual General Meeting of Oando PLC will be held on Monday, November 6th, 2023, by 10 a.m. at the Zinnia Hall, Echo Hotels and Suites, plot 1415 Adetokunbo Ademola Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria, for the purposes of transacting the following ordinary business: to receive the audited financial statements of the company and of the group for the year ended December 31, 2020, and the report of the directors, auditors, and audit committee thereon. To receive the audited financial statements of the company and of the group for the year ended December 31, 2021, and the report of the directors, auditors, and audit committee thereon. To re-elect the firm of BDO Professional Services as the company's auditors in relation to the audit of the financial statements of the company for the year ended December 31, 2022, and the year ended December 31, 2023, to hold office until the next annual general meeting of the company, and to authorize the directors of the company to fix their remuneration. To consider the re-election of the following directors who are eligible for retirement by rotation and have offered themselves for re-election: Mrs. Ronke Shokefun, Mrs. Fatima Nana Mede, OON, Dr. Ainoje Alex Irune. Biographical details of the directors standing for re-election are available in the 2020 and 2021 annual report and on the company's website, www.oandoplc.com. To elect members of the Statutory Audit Committee, and 1.6, to disclose the remuneration of managers of the company. Special business, transacting the following special business: Resolution 1 on directors' remuneration, to consider and if approved to pass with or without modification the following ordinary resolution to fix the remuneration of the non-executive directors of the company. It is hereby resolved that the fees payable quarterly in arrears remain 5 million per annum for the chairman and 4 million per annum for all other non-executive directors. Resolution 2 mandates authorizing transactions with related parties, interested persons. To consider and, if thought fit, pass with or without modifications the following resolution as an ordinary resolution of the company. That pursuant to the rules governing related party transactions of the Nigerian Exchange Limited, a general mandate be and is hereby given authorizing the company to procure goods, services, and financing and enter into such incidental transactions necessary for its day-to-day operations from its related parties or interested persons on normal commercial terms consistent with the company's transfer pricing policy and all relevant transfer pricing regulations in force in Nigeria. That all transactions falling under this category, which were earlier entered into prior to the date of this meeting, are hereby ratified. Resolution 3, cancellation of unissued shares and alteration of the memorandum and articles of association. To consider and, if thought fit, pass with or without modifications the following resolutions as special resolutions of the company. That in compliance with Section 124 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 and Companies Regulation 2021, the cancellation of all the unissued ordinary shares of the company be and is hereby approved. For the purposes of implementing the cancellation of the company's unissued shares, the Board of Directors is hereby authorized to execute all relevant documents, take all such lawful steps as may be required by statute and or regulations, and do such other acts or things as may be necessary, supplementary, consequential, or incidental for the purpose of giving effect to this resolution, including without limitation, appointing such professional parties, consultants, and advisors, and complying with the directive of the regulatory authorities. 3, following the cancellation of all the unissued shares in the share capital of the company in accordance with resolutions 3.11 and 3.12 above, Clause 6 of the Memorandum of Association and Article 3 of the Articles of Association of the company be amended as necessary to reference only the issued shares in the share capital of the company, dated October 12, 2023, by the order of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jago. I believe you have all read the chairman's statement on pages 16 and 17 of the year 2020 annual report and on pages 14 and 15 of the year 2021 annual report. And you will not require that I read it now. Thank you very much. As we proceed with the meeting, any member who wishes to speak on any of the items on the agenda should please indicate by raising his or her hand. When you are called, kindly walk towards the dedicated microphone nearest to you. And you please state your name before you proceed with your questions or comments. The first item for your consideration at this meeting is the presentation of the audited financial statement for the years ended 31st December 2020 and 31st December 2021. At this point, I will call on the representative of the external auditors, Mr. Henry Omodigo, to read the auditor's reports for the 2 years.
Thank you, KBC, sir, for the opportunity. The Board of Directors, distinguished shareholders, the report, the independent report of the auditors to the members of Oando PLC for the year ended 31st December 2020 is on pages 75 to 80 of the annual report and account. And it's quite a number of pages. And except for a couple of items in the auditor's report, the wordings of the auditor's report are in the standard format. On page 75, we made reference to emphasis of matters, which basically are references to certain disclosures in the note to the financial statement in respect of the utilization of Afrexim and EcoBank loans, and also material uncertainty related to going concern, which is on page 76. And our opinions on these matters are not modified. On page 77, we have key audit matters in respect of a number of key matters that we identified and our audit responses to them. Then that takes us to the conclusion of the report on page 80. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. In accordance with the requirements of the 5th schedule of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, we confirm that 1, we have obtained all the information and explanation which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of our audit. In our opinion, proper books of accounts have been kept by the group and company insofar as it appears from our examination of those books. 3, the consolidated and separate statement of financial position and consolidated and separate statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of accounts. And 4, in our opinion, the consolidated and separate financial statement have been prepared in accordance with the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 so as to give a true and fair view of the state of affairs and financial performance of the company and its subsidiary. That ends the report for 2020. The auditor's report for the independent auditor's report to the shareholders of Oando PLC for the year ended 31 December 2021 is on pages 73 to 78 of the annual report and account. And in the same vein, on page 73, we made references to certain notes to the financial statement in respect of the deed of novation of loan agreement, 2, utilization of settlement loan from Oando Sevco Nigeria Limited, and 3, material uncertainty related to going concern. And again, in our conclusion, our opinion. Yes, sir. No, sir. Okay. Okay, sir. I actually mentioned that it run into a number of pages, and I was trying to save the time. I actually mentioned. Sorry, sir. I take permission to go through that way. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. In accordance with the requirement of the 5th schedule of the Companies and Other Matter Act 2020, we confirm that 1, we have obtained all the information and explanation which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of our audit. 2, in our opinion, proper books of account have been kept by the group and company insofar as it appears from our examination of those books. 3, the consolidated and separate statement of financial position and consolidated and separate statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income agree with the books of account. And 4, in our opinion, the consolidated and separate financial statement have been prepared in accordance with the provisions of the Companies and Other Matter Act 2020, so as to give a true and fair view of the state of affairs and financial performance of the company and its subsidiary. Thank you for your understanding once again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mbadiwe. It's time now for the Statutory Audit Committee to present the reports of the Audit Committee for the years ended 31st December 2020 and 2021 respectively. The report is on page 57 of the 2020 annual report and page 51 of the 2021 annual report. I will now call on Mr. Ike Osakwe, the chairman of the Audit Committee, to read the reports of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am required to read 2 reports, and I will start with the report, our report of the accounts for the year ended 2020. Report of the Audit Committee. We have exercised our statutory functions in compliance with Section 404, subsection 7 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. And we, the members of the Oando PLC Audit Committee, have, on the documents and information made available to us, A, ascertained whether the accounting and reporting policies of the company are in accordance with legal requirements and agreed ethical practices. B, reviewed the scope and planning of audit requirements. C, reviewed findings on management matters in conjunction with the external auditors and management responses thereon. D, kept under review the effectiveness of the company's system of accounting and internal control. E, made recommendations to the board with regard to the appointment, removal, and remuneration of the external auditors of the company. And F, authorized the internal auditor to carry out investigations into any activities of the company which may be of interest or concern to the committee. We ascertain that the accounting and reporting policies of the company for the year ended 31st December 2020 are in accordance with legal requirements and agreed ethical practices. We also received the audit plan, effectiveness of internal controls, and system of accounting, and made appropriate recommendations to the board as they relate to our functions. Dated 20th February 2023, Ike Osakwe, Chairman Audit Committee. The other members of the committee were Mr. Tanimu Yakubu, Non-Executive Director, Dr. Joseph Ashaolu, Shareholder Member, Mr. Shegun Oguntoye, Shareholder Member, and Dr. Anthony Omojala, Shareholder Member. That is the report for 2020. For the relating to the accounts 2021, our report reads as follows. We have exercised our statutory functions in compliance with Companies and Allied Matters Act, and we, the members of the Oando PLC Audit Committee, have, on the documents and information made available to us, A, reviewed the scope and planning of the audit requirements and found them satisfactory. B, reviewed the external auditor's management controls reports for the year ended 31st December 2021, as well as the management responses thereto. C, appraise the financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2021 and are satisfied with the explanations provided. We ascertain that the accounting and reporting policies of the company for the year ended 31st December 2021 are in accordance with legal requirements and agreed ethical practices. Dated 21st August 2023. Signed by myself, Ike Osakwe, Chairman, Audit Committee. The other members of the committee for that year were, again, Mr. Tanimu Yakubu, Non-Executive Director Member, Dr. Joseph Ashaolu, Shareholder Member, Mr. Shegu Oguntoye, Shareholder Member, and Dr. Anthony Omojola, Shareholder Member. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Osakwe. I hereby formally lay before you the audited financial statements for the years ended December 31st, 2020 and December 31st, 2021, together with the reports of the directors and the reports of the auditors. The report of the directors for the year ended 31st December 2020 can be found on pages 70 and 72, 70 to 72, and report of the auditors on pages 75 to 80. For the year 2021 financial year, the directors' report can be found on pages 68 to 70, and the report of the auditors on pages 73 to 78 of the annual report, copies of which have been made available to you. At this point, we will take questions, comments, and views from our members on the 2020 and 2021 report and accounts, and on the operations of the company for the periods in question. Where the question is based on the contents of the annual report, please refer to the relevant page of the report for ease of reference. We will take all questions first and then answer all of them together. We will go from the left to the right. Yes. Move to the microphone.
If I can. Thank you, Kábíyèsí. Kádé ó pẹ́ lórí bàbá.
Àṣẹ.
A máa rí yín pẹ́.
Àṣẹ.
It's my pleasure to be recognized and being here is a grace of God. I thank God for the privilege, and I thank God for the members of the esteemed high table. Despite the turbulence, you survived it all. My name is Tunde Badmus, and I thank you for this privilege. We have come through a lot, and I thank and congratulate you for your steadfastness and your availability to withstand the storm. Many thought we wouldn't be here, but I join you to thank God that He sees us through. Kábíyèsí ẹ kú iṣẹ́, a máa rí yín pẹ́. I also thank God for the life of the Group Chief Executive Officer of this company. You are indefatigable pardon my being happy and elative. I'm happy for the company, and I'm happy for you all. On your behalf, I say thank you to God. And I know this is a turning of a new bend towards a successful deliberations. We are at the lighted end of the tunnel. The darkness is over. And if you can see what I see, what I perceive, Oando is here to stay. The accounting year under deliberation is gone. It's historical. We can't turn back the hands of the clock. We cannot. It's an impossibility. We are just here to endorse what has transpired. And if you all agree with that, we needn't spend much time considering the financials of what has been done, endorsed, submitted to the regulators, and approved as being okay as a witness to by the auditor. I will encourage us all to go along the path of wisdom that the company has adopted, knowing fully well as a going concern, our interest is still protected. I'm not here to delve into financials, but congratulate the board, and encourage us to be patient and see the goodness in the kitty. Thank you very much for the little I've said. My name is Tunde Badmus once again.
I go to the next row. Yes, the white paper at the back there. Yes. Yes, there.
The chairman, very distinguished fellow shareholders, other directors, my name's Nona Ao. Chairman, interestingly, today is Monday. And one of the things I find about Monday has a relationship with a very, very popular Nigerian musician who happens to be your son. And for the younger persons who may not know about him, his name is Fela. And one of the things he sang in his lifetime has to do with Monday. Unfortunately, I can't translate, but I'm sure that quite a number of persons know the song. So it's nice to know that quite a number of persons here still hold him what he saw several years before so many Nigerians were born. So may his soul and the souls of all the other departed, including some of our shareholders, continue to rest in peace. Mr. Chairman, if you look at the cover page of this annual account, you are going to find a young lady who probably invested when the new investors came in. And the company's expectation of what the shareholders, including the young lady as an investor, was looking forward to is a very rich tomorrow. And you can see it in our eyes. Tomorrow is going to be bright. Tomorrow is going to be beautiful. That's our expectation. But if you then come to page 186, you are going to find another young lady who probably invested after the first young lady. And if you look critically at her head and at her face, what she carries there is a look of uncertainty. And I'm sure that position is quite what a number of us who are here are also carrying. Other than the few shareholders who own less than 20,000 units, who have now classified themselves as majority shareholder. Other than that. So it's in that line, Mr. Chairman, that I will be asking that this board take a few more minutes. Don't forget what somebody have said. This meeting is going to be short and all of that. All politics and propaganda. Explain to us what the future of this company is. Because without truth, there can never be peace. Nowhere in the world will you get peace in the midst of plenty of lies and unclearness as to what the direction is. So please take some time to reason issues. But if you haven't read, please don't come here and raise your hand because you want to praise anybody. Because come to think of it, the reason that directors' fees are paid is for directors to perform. And so if we approved directors' fee, even in this instance, the money has been taken. So it's been taken before approval. So don't come here and abuse other minority shareholders' sensibility by saying you are praising them because they have done well, because they have gone to the moon. Please. It's just an appeal. And that's why I ask that the board should be very open in telling us the truth as to where the future of the company lies. If you look at page 7, it's a snapshot. Now, because it's a snapshot, I will not take one by one position. But as I go along, you see that I'll try and explain those snapshots. If you go to page 8, one major word that resonates for me all through the reading has to do with the word transformation. If you then go to page 10, another word stands out. Long-term interest. Don't forget the story of the two ladies. If you then go to page 15, you have focus and growth. But much more importantly, for me, as a small shareholder, it talks about shareholders' return. And if you put all of these aggregates, and then you find on page 185 that less than 70,000 shareholders. But amazingly, if you look at page 182, shareholders' value in the last 10 years means that no shareholder here has gotten 1 kobo. 10 straight years. I say this because this same board largely has run the affairs of this company in those last 10 years. So you begin to see why the element of truth that I talk about is very, very important. But the interesting aspect of it, despite the minority not earning any dividend, this same minority have contributed over 900 million unclaimed dividends in the coffer of the company. So, again, apologies to fella, double dead body. But if you then look at page 70, own less than 10,000 units. But that itself puts a burden on you as a company. Because what both the Quran and the Bible says is that for the cry of the poor, God will certainly listen. Because yes, you've given us bags to go home. But if we end our dividend, I'm sure the dues that we'll have put them to will have been very different from having to eat rice and drink water. I'm certain. Some of us are here. They've not been able to pay their children's school fees. Some of them have even come here, with due respect to some. They've probably borrowed money to come to this AGM, hoping that you come and tell them the colonial masters came. They didn't come and carry all of us at the same time. They usually will appoint somebody who gets tobacco or gets wine, and then they use him or her to take as many Nigerians as possible to the new world. And the same new world now is rejecting us after we help to develop their country.
I come to the front here. Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Mr. Chairman, we have to look at where we were like 5 years back and today. The challenges Oando has gone with the regulators, we never thought we would be where we are today. We commend the board and the management for being resilient. There would have been no Oando if the regulators had succeeded. And the price of our share today has gone up. We have seen new investment, Mr. Chairman. I think we should commend them.
My name is Brigadier General Dayo Adeshogun, retired. We cannot come into an AGM like this without observing both the shortcomings and the achievements. We know that, let me start by thanking the board for organizing a dignifying or smooth. The hall is large enough, not shutting out some of the shareholders that used to be in some other areas. We thank you for the organization. Now, we look at the struggle against the company, the global economic downturn, the scarce forex, security problem, the pandemic, together with the crisis that has actually bedeviled the company. Despite that, the truth has prevailed. And we want to commend your efforts, KBSC and the group chief executive officer and the members of the board for your efforts in resolving the crisis and successfully organizing this AGM. The implication is that it will be a positive development for the company and for the shareholders. It underlines the effective leadership in times of crisis, and this is essential for the long-term success and stability of the organization. Today, we may not be having dividend, but I believe that in a settled environment that has prevailed now, I believe in the, and I trust in the capability of the board to make sure that this company is moved forward, there will be profitability, and the shareholder will benefit. Thank you for the opportunity for it.
Thank you, General. I come to the lady next to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, KBSC, Board of Directors, Regulatory Authorities here present, my shareholder, my co-shareholders, good morning. My name is Mrs. Bakari Adebisi Oluwayemisi. First and foremost, Mr. Chairman, I want to commend you, His Royal Majesty, Oba Michael Adedotun Mbadiwe, CFR, and the Group Managing Director, Mr. Jubri Adewale Tinubu, and his team for their visionary and leadership quality. The entire board for their commitment in ensuring that our company still remain afloat and in tackling the challenges facing our industry. I say kudos to the entire board for that. I will go straight to page 17 and 81, where we have our financial highlights. Of course, I agree with the last speakers because there is always past and present. When you look at 2021 accounts, I noticed that our company's revenue increased to 803 billion in 2021 year end, representing a 63% growth compared to 477.1 billion recorded in 2020. That shows there is progress for our company. Also, profit after tax stood at 34.7 billion in 2021 compared to the loss of 140.7 billion in 2022. Again, our finance income is 44.1 billion compared to 9.3 billion in the financial year of 2020, while our total borrowings increased by 10% to 460.8 billion compared to 419 billion in 2022. However, Mr. Chairman, our loan amount remained unsettled by OODP in accordance with the agreement. The question I have here is that what steps have we taken to retrieve this loan, Mr. Chairman, the loan outstanding? And is there any legal implications on this loan? Page 182. 182, value-added statement. It is worth of note that in the year 2020, the group recorded a negative value-added of over 1.48 billion, which was as a 2021 year-end. Now, a positive value-added of, for 2021, our value added is now 154.93 billion. But, Mr. Chairman, for the company, we are still having negative value added. So I want to ask from our CEO that what's the current position? Because the account we are considering is as at 2021. Page 46 to 47. Recognition on diversity. I want to commend our board for the appointment of 2 female directors on our board. This is in compliance with the policy of gender diversity and is highly commendable, and I believe it can still be better. I want to use this opportunity also to welcome our new directors, Mrs. Nana Fatima Amede and Mrs. Ronke Shokefun, into the board of our great company. And of our great company, I'm praying that they will use their wealth of experience in moving our company forward. Congratulations to my 2 powerful ladies. And I pray that the sky will be your starting point, not your limits. Page 73 to 74, auditor's opinion on emphasis of the matter. Note 1, deed of notation of loan agreement. Note 2, utilization of settlements of loans from Oando Service Nigeria Limited. Please, sir, what plan do we have in place to correct these 2 issues raised by the external auditors? Furthermore, sir, I want to ask that why was crude lifting 39% lower in 2021, and what steps our company taking to increase crude lifting in the coming year? Secondly, how will our company address the financial impairment charge on our non-current receivable and trade and other receivables? I want to ask also that what plans do we have to sustain the stable production flow of at least 44,550 barrels per day or more achieved in 2022? And what step will the company take to increase production levels in the future? Again, I want to ask that what step is our company taking to mitigate the risk associated with its operations, particularly with regards to the security situation in the Niger Niger Delta region. Again, Mr. Chairman, I want to ask that how is Oando planning to capitalize on the opportunities in the Nigerian energy market, given the increasing demand for power and the shift towards renewable energy? I want to also ask that what is the latest on our diversification, delisting, or mandatory takeover process? We would like to hear about that. Mr. Chairman, now that we are back to profitability, I want to ask that when is shareholder should be expecting dividend from Oando PLC, Mr. Chairman. Lastly, by this account, Mr. Chairman, as we speak today, we are 23 months behind. So we would like to be updated as to the actual position of Oando as at today. Thank you once again for the opportunity given to me.
I'll move to that side. The person wearing the same kind of cap with me here, in blue dress. Yes, please. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Directors, distinguished shareholders, and all protocol observed. My name is Alhaji Kazi Olayiwola. To the glory of God and to the benefit of mankind, Mr. Chairman, I'm representing the entire 3 senatorial districts in Kaduna State. My questions are going to be brief, simply because vertically and horizontally, most of my questions have been expressed by like minds. The few ones in my custody now goes as I stated. Number one, what are we doing about the issues of cyber risk and the Niger Delta militants that are hindrance to the progress of this company globally? I want all to believe not only in Nigeria, even in South Africa, we have some terrible constituents where they are disturbing the operations of Oando, because I have been there and I'm privileged to know this. That's my number one question. Number two question, the Calabar power plant, Mr. Chairman, what are we planning to do next after series of investments on that plant? And equally, I would like to know the progress of our subsidiaries. Most of the information disclosed on this booklet are not comprehensive enough. I stand to be corrected. Can we know more about how we are moving with the subsidiaries so that information gathered here can be disseminated to where I came from? Finally, on the issue of scholarship, Mr. Chairman, are we not biased to certain region of the country? Because to the glory of God, most of your scholarship from Oando has not been spelled out in the Northern University. And I want to be corrected. If there is a university, I will find out, and I will bring the facts to your table. But in a lighter mood, I would like you to spread your tentacles to all parts of the continent. Inshallah, we shall continue to move forward. Thank you very much.
Now I go to the gentleman there. No, the lady. Aha.
Distinguished KBAC, our able board of directors, and my fellow distinguished shareholders. My name is Mrs. Oludewathorpe, and I'm of the Zonal Shareholders Association. Mr. Chairman, as we were coming into the hall this morning, we got this pamphlet that told us about the updates regarding the scheme of arrangement. And looking through it, if the court sanctions the scheme from 28th of November this year, the issue of whether we shall get dividend or not will no longer arise because you will buy all of us out. As a result, I am not going to make comments on financials and things like that. What I had planned to talk about, I would just speak of things that I believe is generally of benefit to the company, whether we are there or not as shareholders, because this report is now historical. The first thing, I will congratulate you for the board and our company for surviving the pandemic. We know that it was difficult for every company, so that we survived by hedging and all that, and restructuring our facilities. I think that's a good one. However, there are issues which I think that we should perhaps correct going forward. The first of it that I saw is that this report of 2020 and 2021, some of the details that we have there, I think that some of them shouldn't be. Like in 2020, we were told that 3 directors are retiring by rotation. Of those 3 directors, only 1 was actually a director in that year. And the other 2 were appointed in 2021. Yet, in the report of 2020, we are told that they are retiring. So it shouldn't be. And even in that report of 2020, we also have information of those who have left the board or will leave in 2022.
Please refer to the page.
Okay, page 42. If you look at page 42 of the 2020 report, you would see that of the directors listed on page 37, 2 names were not there on page 57.
Thank you.
You will see that 2 directors were appointed. If you see page 52, 2 directors were appointed my 2 ladies there were appointed on 23rd of December, 2021. But in the report of 2020, we are told that they are retiring by rotation. I think it's something that you should just be careful about.
Thank you.
For next time. And then you also notice that the 2 directors who have left the board were also listed there. One of them left in 2022, Mr. Adeyemo, and it's noted there that he has left. So please, just a little, will I call it clerical error that shouldn't be in our report. Now, our company operates in the Niger Delta. I saw that there is a map on, if you look at page 19 of I think it's the 2020 report, we are told about Oando Foundation. Oando Foundation that has impacted on, it says, 88 schools. We also have the same information, but on page 59, it states something about it being 88 communities. And then I saw that in the, on page 56, page 15 of the 2021 report, it now adds it as school communities. So I don't know whether it is schools or communities. But whichever way it is, whichever one it is, I note that perhaps some of you might have seen the news line yesterday, and there is a video going around about some schools in the Niger Delta. I think it's in either Edo State or Delta State, where the roof have collapsed and the school is in a state of disrepair. When I looked at the map of Oando Foundation intervention, it stated that, I think it's page 59, it stated that 17, there were 17 of such intervention in the south. But if you look at, I think it says 17 in the south. But if you look at from the map, I do not think that you have been fair to where you call Niger Delta, in view of the fact that we are known for fossil fuel. By the time we transition to zero carbon and electric, what's going to be the, will I use the word future? Although that future of Oando, we shall not be there because you would have bought us out.
Of the previous problem we have with SEC, we thank God that today Oando is alive, and Oando will continue to be alive. Mr. Chairman.
Smart thing we did from the downstream retail business to the upstream and focus our earnings on dollars and not naira. And as you can see today from the exchange rates that we experience today, we are 98% plus of our income is in dollars. We don't earn any naira, and we're able to survive and deal with challenges. Okay? We also left the retail space, and in the retail space, we've seen what has happened to deregulation. We've seen petrol prices go up. We see the subsidies removed. We see fixed margins under pressure. In the same vein, that has also come with challenges because, first and foremost, we've had several oil price crashes as well as rebounds in the market, plus COVID. So I'll draw your attention to the fact that in 2019, we had an average realized crude oil price of $62. 2020, when COVID was at its height, it dropped to $34. 2021, it's gone back up to $60 a barrel on average. So we are facing quite a little bit of volatility in the price of crude, which is what we trade today. But your company is strong and resilient. We have close to 500 barrels of reserves. Unfortunately, our production is down from 50,000 barrels a day, which is where we used to be, to an average of 25,000 as a result of the security issues that befall us. But we are in the process of ensuring that we have a strategy to deal with that, which is first and foremost managing the security in the Niger Delta as far as it concerns our own assets, one. Second point is to grow the business, which we've done by virtue of entering into an agreement to acquire Egypt's 20% in our joint venture, ENI's 20%, which would see us be the first Nigerian oil company to be a major indigenous producer. This feat has never been achieved. As we all know, there's a Total joint venture, the Chevron joint venture, the ExxonMobil joint venture, and then the Egypt joint venture. So the Egypt joint venture will become the Oando joint venture on conclusion of this transaction, and our reserves will go to 1 billion barrels, and our production will double as a result of this acquisition. The challenge has been, in the process, we have failed to pay dividends, and that is correct. And that's not as a result of the refusal for the company to pay dividends, but really primarily a technicality that says we cannot pay dividends where we do not have reserves. The company's focus has been on servicing its liabilities, and we have paid in excess of $1.5 billion down in debt in the last 7 years of operations. Right now, our debt currently stands around $600 million down from $2.2 billion. And the question was asked, what did we do with the proceeds of the sale of our retail business? And that company was sold for an enterprise value of about $460 million, and we paid down our overall bank liability that had been generated by the group in terms of the diversification. So as to whether or not we will pay dividends in future, definitely we will. This is going to be the least of the worries considering the technical profile of the business. And it's something which we are comfortable and confident of being able to restart at the earliest time. I think the main issue which we've had has been to create a foundation for doing this, and we've achieved that. Unfortunately, we had the SEC matters to deal with, and rather than focus on servicing all the shareholders, we were made to service 2 shareholders in particular to pay them out for them to leave the company. And we ended up spending about $600 million equivalent to achieve that purpose. And that really is the reason why we had a drain on the company's resources. The SEC were clear about that. We considered it an unfair ruling, but we were forced to reach a settlement, and we did reach a settlement in that regard. And that settlement has been carried out, and the shareholders have exited the company. That caused us to incur a substantial amount, and that money otherwise has been serviced and reduced in value from down to by over $250 million over the last since the settlement was taken. Other questions have been asked in terms of the company, and the focus was on the foundation, and we have covered 86 schools, and in the geographic areas are mentioned in the report, and the foundation continues to focus on communities right across the nation. Effectively, we've focused on all the regions, and I think there's been a split between the 6 geopolitical zones, and the point is well taken about the fact that we do need to focus more on the Niger Delta, which is being done via our operator now, who focuses on, together with us, on the communities where we produce oil. So the Oando Foundation is also distinct from the joint ventures efforts in the Niger Delta. The point has also been raised regarding clean energy. Clean energy is a very, very important area as a focus for the business. Indeed, we even have a very detailed review session to achieve today as well on that. We are doing the first test run. 4 buses have come into the country, and the results have been very good. A further 50 are expected, and eventually we expect that up to 16,000 units will come in. And we see this as a way of reducing the carbon footprints, which we increase when we do oil production, but we'd also decrease when we do gas production, because gas as a transitional fuel is 50% of the carbon emissions. 50% is less. So we do see a world in which Nigeria's gas will continue to play a very, very important role globally. And the company has over 65% of its resources in gas. There's been a very active point regarding, can you buy us out, can we buy you out? I must say that the choice as to whether or not shareholders buy one another out will be taken on the floor of the annual general meeting by the shareholders. And I think that it's important to note that. I think also it's important to note that that decision is one which, even though a scheme of arrangement has been proposed, pursuant to a court order, as the frequently asked questions has done, the process is still underway, and the company is focused on creating shareholder value in the short term and deferring that issue for when it becomes important to do. It may happen, it may not happen. Okay? The fact remains, the decision lies in the hands of the shareholder and the regulator and the court process. Sorry?
Distinguished shareholders, the chairman of the audit committee, Mr. Ike Osakwe, will take the special ad hoc committee chairman as well, will take questions on any special arrangement that you asked us about. He will answer all your questions. Thank you.
Good morning again. It's just a quick question, really not to encourage more questions on the issue at this particular meeting. The matter is sensitive and it is important. When this came up for discussion at the board, we noted that quite a few of the directors were conflicted. So the subcommittee that was established, I'm reporting on behalf of the subcommittee. The chairman of the subcommittee is not present today. The subcommittee was majorly made up of independent, non-executive directors. We met, reported to the board, and the process continues. Indeed, it's part of the process that you have these documents with all of you. And in that regard, with your permission, I will read the questions and answers to 3 specific questions. I think it will deal with everything we want to address today. Question 6, what is the role of the board in the scheme of arrangement? Answer, the board's role includes ensuring Oando complies with all relevant Nigerian laws and the court orders relating to the scheme of arrangement. In compliance with the court order and after reviewing the offer and the independent fairness opinion, the board approved that the scheme of arrangement be recommended to the minority shareholders for consideration and approval, pending the receipt of all regulatory approvals. The scheme's effectiveness, therefore, depends on regulatory approvals, court sanction, and minority shareholder approval. Question 7. What is the role of a shareholder in this scheme of arrangement? And the answer we have here says, shareholders play a crucial role in the scheme of arrangement. Oando will be instructed by the court to hold a meeting of all its shareholders to consider and potentially approve the proposed scheme for purchase of the shares held by the minority shareholders. Now you will note, please, at that meeting, only the minority shareholders will have the right to vote at that meeting. And voting will be conducted by poll. If and only if 75% of shareholders present and voting approve the scheme, a report will be submitted to the court to sanction the scheme. Finally, question 8, will OODP vote at the court-ordered meeting? In accordance with the Nigerian Stock Exchange rules, OODP, which is looking to buy, the majority looking to buy the minority, they will not have voting rights at the court-ordered meeting for the approval of the proposed scheme. So at some point in future, there will be a meeting where only the minority shareholders get to vote. And this thing will only go forward if 75% vote in favor at that time. Even when they do, there are other processes. It still has to go back to the courts, go back to SEC, etc. So with your permission, with the chairman's permission, I would urge, this is an AGM. There is a special meeting designed by law specifically to deal with everything you'll be raising. So, Mr. Chairman, I would request, I would beg the shareholders that we step the matter down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stakwe. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I should mention that a resolution is not required to be passed on the accounts. Therefore, the audited financial statements of the company for the years ended 31st December 2020 and 31st December 2021, along with the report of the directors, auditors, and audit committee as presented to you, are considered received. I must sincerely thank our shareholders for those insightful comments, for the views and questions which have been received, and the Chief Executive has done his best to answer those questions. Before I proceed to the resolutions to be passed, please note that in accordance with Section 248 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, I hereby declare that voting at this meeting shall be by poll, except item 1.5 on the agenda, which is the resolution for the election of members of the Statutory Audit Committee, which shall be by show of hands. The votes on all the proxy forms duly submitted have been collated by the registrars. The registrars will share the voting results on each of the resolutions being proposed. May I invite the representative of the first registrars to explain the e-voting protocol and the following process.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. For the purpose of voting on each of the resolutions, it's going to be by the use of voting device. Please ensure that the voting device given to you, the screen is blank. If you are voting for a resolution, please press 1A. If you are voting against any resolution, please press 2B. It will be recorded automatically. Thank you, sir.
Item 1.3 is to re-elect the firm of BDO Professional Services as the company's auditors in relation to the audit of the financial statements of the company for the year ended December 31, 2022, and the year ended December 31, 2023, to hold office until the next general meeting of the company, and to authorize the directors of the company to fix their remuneration hence. I move that Messrs. BDO Professional Services be re-elected as the auditors for the year ended December 31, 2022, and the year ended December 31, 2023, and to fix directors' fees. Directors are hereby authorized to fix the auditor's remuneration. Will someone please second the motion which I have moved? The white cap chief.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Augustine Emeka Ezechuku. I hereby support that motion.
Thank you. I will now call on the representative of the first registrars to conduct the poll.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. For the purpose of voting on that resolution, please press 1A on the voting device. If you are voting against, please press 2B. The voting will soon commence. Please just hold on. It's working, it's working. We've gotten 98 responses, 105 shareholders has voted, 132, 179, 183, 193, 196, 201 shareholders has voted, 213, 17, shareholders are still voting. It's work. 258 shareholders has voted already. 259, 262, 263, 264, 268, 269, 272, 272, 273, 274, 276, 277, 279, 280, 280, 281, 281, 281, 281, 285, 289, 289, 289, 289. Please calm down. We have 9 seconds left. 6 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds. Answer. Please close the poll. Result, please. At the end of the voting on that resolution, we have 818 shareholders voting for that resolution with the total shares of 9,267,301,479. That's representing 99.97%. While we only have 29 shareholders with 3.42%, with the shareholders of, the audience of 2,648,980. Thank you.
Following the announcement by the first registrars, I hereby declare the motion carried. Before we proceed with the next item on the agenda, I will ask Mrs. Hilda, is she here? The representative of the Convention on Business Integrity, to read the report of the Board and Corporate Governance Evaluation for the period ended 31st December 2021. The report can be found on pages 52 and 53 of the 2021 Annual Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, sir. Good morning, distinguished shareholders. Good morning, Board. Reports on the outcome of the Board evaluation for the period ended 31 December 2021. The Convention on Business Integrity, Ltd., was engaged to carry out an evaluation of the performance of the Board of Directors of Oando PLC as required by the Principle 14.1 of the 2018 Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance and the SEC Corporate Governance Guidelines for the period ended 31 December 2021. Our responsibility was to reach a conclusion on the board's performance based on work carried out within the scope of our engagement as contained in our service level agreement dated February 21, 2022. We also facilitated a self and peer assessment of each director's performance in the 2021 fiscal year. The assessment encompassed the director's dedication of time to company's affairs, commitment to ongoing growth and learning. Individual director's assessment report was prepared and made available to the chairman and members of the board. In carrying out the evaluation, we have relied on representations made by members of the board by way of completed questionnaires, one-on-one interviews, and documents provided for our review. The board has complied significantly with the principles set forth in the NCCG and the SCGG. We have, however, made a few recommendations on areas that require improvement. Details of our other findings are contained in our report. Signed. Report on the outcome of the corporate governance evaluation for the period ended 31 December 2021. The Convention on Business Integrity was engaged to carry out a corporate governance evaluation for Oando PLC as required by Principle 15.1 of the 2018 Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance and the SEC Corporate Governance Guidelines for the period ended 31 December 2021. Our responsibility was to reach a conclusion on the effectiveness of the governance practices and processes of Oando PLC based on work carried out within the scope of our engagement as contained in our letter of engagement. In carrying out the evaluation, we have relied on representations made by members of the company's board, the management, and on documents provided for our review. Oando PLC has demonstrated substantial adherence to the principles outlined in the NCCG and the SCGG. Areas of compliance include the board's oversight of the company's financial performance, audits, risk management protocols, compliance measures, and the execution of the company's strategic initiatives. Details of our other findings are contained in our report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Nko. The next item on the agenda is the re-election of the following directors who, in accordance with Articles 91 and 93 of the company's Articles of Association, retire by rotation, but are eligible and offer themselves for re-election as directors. Mrs. Ronke Shokefu, Mrs. Fatima Nanamede, OON, and Dr. Ainoje Alex Irune. The profiles of the directors who are seeking re-election are available on the website and on pages 34 to 37 of the 2021 annual report. I hereby move that the re-election of the three directors be done by one single resolution in accordance with Section 287(1) of the Companies and Allied Matters Act of 2020. Will a shareholder please second the motion? The lady there, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is David Adenike Okoyemi. I used to second.
I will now call on the representatives of first registrars to conduct the poll.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. For the purpose of re-electing those directors as mentioned by the chairman, it is going to be by single resolution. If you are voting for, please press 1A. If you want to vote against, please press 2B. The voting will soon commence. Please hold on. I will let you know when the poll is opened. Yeah, that's the re-election of directors. The shareholders can begin to exercise their voting right. Thank you. We have 129, 132, 142, 163, 164, 170, 177, 183, 188. 210 shareholders have voted physically here. 223, 225, 230, 232, 236 shareholders have voted of 242, 246, 247, 250 shareholders have voted, 256, 57, 59, still counting, 260, 262, 264 shareholders as voted physically here. 267. 267. 268. 269. 270. 272. 273. 274. 277. 278, still counting, 280, 283, 284, 285, 285, 285, 286, 287, 287, 288, 288, 289, 289, 289, 289. Please count down. 7 seconds left. 6 seconds. 4 seconds. 2 seconds. Please close the poll. Can you display the result, please? At the end of the voting on that resolution, we have 808 shareholders voting through proxy and physically present, with the total shares of 9,261,634,204 units. This represents 99.98%, while we have 41 shareholders voting against that resolution, with the total shares of 2,072,214 units. Thank you.
Consequently, I move that the motion that Mrs. Ronke Shokefun, Mrs. Fatima Nanamede OON, and Dr. Ainoji Alex Irune have been re-elected as directors of the company. The last item under ordinary business is to elect members of the audit committee in accordance with section 404(3) of the Companies and Allied Matters Act. The following names were sent by the directors and shareholders, having given the following names were sent by the directors and shareholders, having given the required notice of 21 days in compliance with section 406(6). We said we are doing the whole thing by single. And this we did. Yes, yes. Somebody seconded it. Lady seconded it. Yes, yes. They have voted already. Okay. Now the voting that you did was to accept a single resolution for the election of the 3 directors. Consequently, I move the motion that Mrs. Ronke Shokefun, Mrs. Fatima Nanamede OON, and Dr. Ainoji Alex Irune be re-elected as directors of the company. Will a shareholder please second the motion? Yes, I take the elder.
Good luck, Akpore. I support that motion.
Thank you, Elder Akpore. I will now call on the representatives of First Registrars to conduct the poll.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. For the purpose of voting Mrs. Ronke Shokefun as a director, please press 1A if you are for that resolution. If you are for against, please press 2B. Thank you. We are taking it one by one now. So, voting has commenced. 185, 189, 235, 236, 237, 238, 240, 'Kay. For the purpose of voting that resolution together, please open the poll for single resolution. For the single resolution, for all the directors again. Yeah. Yeah. All the directors. All the directors. All the directors. Please hold on. The poll will soon open. Yeah, that re-election of all the directors now proper. If you are voting for that resolution, please press 1A. If you are voting against, please press 2B. Yeah. Voting has commenced. One 179, 184, 186, 188, 190, 192, 200 shareholders has voted physically here. 218, 223, 228, 229, 233, 235, 235 shareholders has voted physically. 238, 239, 241, 241 shareholders, 244, 246, 246 shareholders has voted physically. 248, 249, 250. Calm down, please. Four seconds left. One. Poll close. Can you display the results, please? At the end of the voting on that resolution, which is to relate all the directors together with the single resolutions, we have 776 shareholders voting through proxy and physically present, with the total shares of 9,261,373,057 units, while we have 29 shareholders voting against, with the total shares of 2,573,689 units. Thank you.
Yes, I want to announce the results first. I will take your... There's a what? Okay, approach the microphone. The last item under ordinary business is to elect members of the audit committee. In accordance with section 4043 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, the following names were sent by the directors and shareholders, having given the required notice of 21 days in compliance with section 4046 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act of 2020. Any nomination not received prior to the meeting as stipulated is invalid. Nominees of the directors to the Statutory Audit Committee are Mr. Ike Osakwe and Mr. Tanimu Yakubu. The Company Secretary will now give details of the shareholder nominees for the Statutory Audit Committee.
Thank you, Kabiyesi. Please bear with me. We received 192 nominations for election to the Statutory Audit Committee. 189 nominees withdrew their nominations. We therefore have 3 nominees standing for the election. The names of the shareholder nominees and their nominators in order of receipt are Olusegun David Oguntoye, nominated by Mr. Matthew Akinlade. Dr. Joseph Ashaolu, nominated by Mr. Okpara Clement Anele. And Prince Dr. Anthony Omoni Yomojola, nominated by Mr. Wahab Ajani. In view of the confirmation that a total of 3 valid nominations from the shareholders were received, and the 3 shareholder nominees are unopposed, I hereby move that 1. Olusegun David Oguntoye, Dr. Joseph Ashaolu, and Prince Dr. Anthony Omoni Omojola, having been validly nominated, be and are here. Oh, sorry, Kabiyesi. I am so sorry, Kabiyesi.
Now, Company Secretary and Chief Compliance Officer should not add the functions of the chairman to our own. In view of the confirmation that a total of 3 valid nominations from the shareholders were received and the 3 shareholders' nominees are unopposed, I hereby move that 1. Olusegun David Oguntoye, 2. Dr. Joseph Ashaolu, and 3. Prince Dr. Anthony Omoni Yomojola, having been validly nominated, be and are hereby elected as members of the Statutory Audit Committee. Will a shareholder please? Okay, the first one. The very end.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, Ogunwale Bukumi Benjamin, supported that motion.
Following the announcement, I hereby declare the motion carried that Mr. Olusegun David Oguntoye, Dr. Joseph Ashaolu, and Prince Dr. Anthony Omoni Yomojola are now elected as members of the Statutory Audit Committee, together with the directors' nominees, namely Mr. Ike Osakwe and Mr. Tanimu Yakubu. The very first special business we have on the agenda is to approve the remuneration of the non-executive directors. I hereby move that the fees payable quarterly in arrears remain 5 million naira per annum for the chairman and 4 million per annum for all other non-executive directors. Will a shareholder please second the motion? Yes. I'm calling you.
Thank you, my able chairman. May God continue to be with you, sir. I, Prince Awosoya, all the way from Remo Central Constituency, I show support.
Yes, can I have the observation? Observation from there.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Kabiesi, Ibekwe Roberts Adenoba is my name. You have just moved to special business, but the ordinary business is not yet concluded because you have not disclosed the remuneration of the managers of the company. Or are we going to skip that? Please, that is 1.6. After the statutory audit committee election,
It's closed in the report, financial report that you have with you.
thank you very much, sir. It is disclosed, but it ought to be mentioned to the, of course, it's part of the agenda and has to be taken, even if it is just for mentioning.
It's noted.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
the
you.
company secretary should take note of that, please.
Okay, another observation there.
Kabesi, my observation is this. My name is Okezie Boniface. Mr. Chairman, since you were involved in that aspect of that resolution, you shouldn't have the one to preside over it. That should have been the
I
other.
am not a member of the management.
Sir, no. Forget about those ones. I mean the resolution. You have nothing to do. The one you mentioned before.
It's
They
management, not board.
No, remuneration of directors. Special resolutions. On special resolutions.
Okay, it's noted.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
It is the board, it is the either the chairman, either the MD or one of to preside over, or what the executive. The MD should preside over that aspect.
Okay. Now it says I should not have presided over remuneration because I am the beneficiary. I will now call on the first registrars to please conduct the election. First registrars, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. For the purpose of voting on that resolution, please press 1A on the voting device. If you are voting against, please press 2B. That is regarding the director's remuneration. Thank you. Do not understand? 92, 95, 114, 118, 122, 161, 165, 177 shareholders has voted physically here, 185, 187 still counting, 200 shareholders has voted, 202, 205, 208, 210, 215, 216, 217, 218, 221, 223, 227, 228, 229, 230, still counting, 240, 242, 243, 245, 246, 246 shareholders as voted, 247, 248, 249, 250, 251, 252, 254, 255, 256, 257, 257, 258, 259, 260, 262, 263, 264, 264 shareholders has voted physically here, 264, 264, 264. Please start to count down. 6 seconds left. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Please close the poll. Time up. Can you display the result? At the end of the voting on that resolution, we have 791 shareholders voting through proxy and physically present, with the total shares of 9,267,431,300 units. This represents 99.98%, while we have 29 shareholders with the total shares of 1,452,455 voting against that resolution. Thank you.
Following the announcement of the result by the registrar, I hereby declare the motion carried. The second special business we have.
Wait. Yes, please give him the microphone. Please take the mic.
I'm saying that even if it's tax, it should not be disclosed as part of your fees. Even if it's disclosed in that manner, there should also be a footnote that what was earned was 5 million, but tax on 5 million cannot be 550.
On the agenda is to consider and if thought fit, pass with or without modifications the following resolutions as an ordinary resolution of the company. To consider and if thought fit, pass with or without modification pursuant to the rules governing related party transaction of the Nigerian Exchange Limited, a general mandate be and is hereby given authorizing the company to procure goods, services, and financing and enter into such incidental transactions necessary for its day-to-day operations from its related parties or interested persons on normal commercial terms, consistent with the company's transfer pricing policy and all relevant transfer pricing regulations in force in Nigeria. That all transactions falling under this category, which were earlier entered into prior to the date of this meeting, are hereby ratified. Will a shareholder please second the motion? Yes, please.
Thank you, my chairman. I'm Comrade Lawrence Oguntoye, hereby second this motion. Thank you.
I will now call on the representative of First Registrars to conduct the poll.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. For the purpose of voting on that resolution that has to do with the general mandate, please, if you are for that resolution, please press 1A. if you have against that resolution, please press 1B. However, there is need for me to announce that the majority shareholders will not participate in this resolution. Thank you. One 131, 139, 142, 144, 159, 160, 162, 174, 184, 180, now 90, still counting, 190, 200, voting is still ongoing. 209, 210, 211, 216, 218, still counting, 224, 224, 225, 226, still counting, 228, 228, 229, 231, 232, 233, 235, 236, 236 shareholders as voted physically here, 227, 237, 238, 239, 239, 240, 241, 242, 243, 243, 243, 243, 244, 244, 244. Please start to count down. 6 seconds left. 5 seconds. Second. Close the poll. Please display the result. At the end of the voting on this resolution, which, like I mentioned, the majority shareholder will not participate. So we have 764 shareholders voting through proxy and physically present, with the total shares of 2,058,931,913 units, which represent 99.86%. While we have 30 shareholders with the shares of 2,835,193 units voting against that resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, first registrars. Following the announcement of the results, I hereby declare the motion carried. Okay. The last item on the agenda is to consider and if thought fit, pass with or without modifications the following resolutions as a special resolution of the company. In compliance with Section 124 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, the Companies Regulation 2021, the cancellation of all the unused ordinary shares of the company is hereby approved. For the purposes of implementing the cancellation of the company's unissued shares, the Board of Directors is hereby authorized to execute all relevant documents, take all such lawful steps as may be required by statute and/or regulations, and do such other acts or things as may be necessary, supplementary, consequential, or incidental for the purpose of giving effect to this resolution, including without limitation, appointing such professional parties, consultants, and advisors, and complying with the directive of the regulatory authorities. Following the cancellation of all the unused shares in the share capital of the company, in accordance with resolutions 3.1 and 3.2 above, cause 6 of the Memorandum of Association and Article 3 of the Articles of Association of the company to be amended as necessary to reference only the issued shares in the share capital of the company. I hereby move the resolutions. Will a shareholder please second this motion? Yes, please.
Thank you, Kabiyesi.
Yes.
Kadopelori, my name is Are Kamorudin Ajao Danjuma. I dare second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Alhaji Danjuma. I will now call on the representatives of the first registrars to conduct the poll.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. For the purpose of voting on that resolution, which is the last resolution on the report, if you are for that resolution, please press 1A. If you are against that resolution, please press 2B. Voting will soon commence. Can you display the resolution, please? Cancellation of unissued shares. We have 24 shareholders has voted, 35, 41. (146) shareholders has voted. Voting is still ongoing, still counting. (178) shareholders, 179, 185, 186. (182) shareholders has voted, 193. Still counting. (208), 209 shareholders has voted physically here. 214. (218) shareholders has voted. 218 shareholders. 218 shareholders. 219, 220. 220. 222. 223, 224, 225, 226, 226 shareholders has voted so far, 227, 28, 228, 228, 229, 230, 230, 232, 233, 233, 234, 236, 237, 238, 239. Voting is still on. 239, 239, 240, 241, 241, 242, 42, please. Calm down, please. We have 7 seconds left. 5 seconds. 1 second. Please close the probe. Can you display the result? At the end of the voting on that resolution, we have 759 shareholders voting through proxy and physically present, with the total shares of 9,264,610,846 units. This represents 99.97%, while we have 39 shareholders with the shares of 2,867,136 units voting against that resolution. Thank you.
Following the announcement of the results by the first registrars, I hereby declare the motion carried. There being no further business, ladies and gentlemen, I declare the 44th annual general meeting of the Oando PLC closed. But before I do so, for the purpose of keeping records, the manager's remuneration can be found in pages 136 of the 2020 audited financial statement and 134 of 2021 audited account statement. Please, you can note this down, and when you get to it, you can recheck. I hereby thank you all for your attendance today and the support you have always continually given to your company and to your directors. I wish you all a safe trip back to your various destinations. God bless Oando. God bless you all. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. May I ask Alhaji Tambari to please lead us in closing prayer, after which we shall have the national anthem. Yes, go on.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وسلم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. I pray Almighty Allah to help our President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to continue fixing this country. We see the dollar started coming down. We pray Almighty Allah to help him to succeed. We have to pray for our leaders. It's our religion, say we have to pray to our leaders. If our leaders succeed, we are going to